Okay, so I read through a number of your comments from the week 12 Learning Target Reflection on how I can better help you as a teacher, and a number of you said to make a video and provide you with examples of not necessarily the code to use in the program, but similar code. So I'm just kind of going to go through each one of the challenge exercises because it kind of seemed like some people thought that challenge 4 was going to be difficult, some people thought challenge 2 was going to be difficult. So I'm going to break this up and kind of just walk through each challenge exercise and talk about how I would complete it, and not necessarily show you the code, but give you some ideas on how to start it. So hopefully that will be helpful. Also, before I continue, I wanted to note that there are two examples of projects that received an A that are attached to this Google Classroom assignment. You can use these to help figure out what your program should look like and how it should work. However, your program must be different than both of these in terms of the code that you use and the sprites they use. If you use the exact same code as the programs attached, that will count as plagiarism and you will not be able to receive credit for this assignment. Notice that although both of the examples are of the same game, both of these are the rock, paper, scissors game, the code in both of them is very different and the way the game looks is very different. There are lots of different ways to complete this assignment successfully, so I don't expect anyone's code to look very similar. All right, just to start out with the base, what I have here, and this is the code that I gave you, so I uploaded this, and feel free to use this code exactly. So the way that I start this program is I created a backdrop that just says, I'm going to actually delete this part right there, that just says you, and then computer, okay? And then, so we have two different we have the backdrop here, one that says you and one that says computer. And then I have two sprites, one sprite for computer and one sprite for human. Each one has three different costumes, a costume for rock, one for paper, and one for scissors. And the computer also has that. Now the code for the computer is right here. So what happens is the computer picks a random number between 1 and 3, and then if the computer picks 1, then it switches to costume 1. If the computer picks number 2, it's 2. So just the computer picks a random rock, paper, scissors. This code above here is just doing the kind of switching. So when you play the game and you hit R, it looks kind of like it's randomizing. That's what this is right there. So this just switches between the three costumes 6 times. So it switches between all three costumes 6 times, and then it picks one to default on. So, and then the code for you is when you push R, it saves it as a rock. If you push P, it saves it as paper. And when you push S, it saves it as scissors. So if I push S, it says scissors and a picture of scissors pops up for me. If I push P, picture of paper pops up for me. So this code, feel free to use. You can check out the costumes that I have. Feel free to use any of this. So this is kind of how I would start. So the first thing it says is create a computer versus rock, paper, scissors game. We got that. We want to introduce the game giving instructions. So what I would do in order to do that is I would create a new backdrop. Okay, I might put this backdrop actually up here, and I might put instructions. Put instructions on how to play the game here. Okay, so I will put the instructions there, and I got that in backdrop 2. Okay, and then it switches to backdrop 1. So what I would do is, let's go to the script. I might do like an event when clicked, and then let's go to look, and we want to switch to, I think it's backdrop number 2, which has the instructions. So we would switch to backdrop 2, wait 5 seconds, and then have it switch to backdrop 1, and then, okay. So now what I have is when I hit this, it puts the instructions on for 5 seconds, and then it brings that up. But these rocks and papers, those are still visible. So I actually want, I want those to kind of be missing for a little bit. So what we'll do is we're going to hide this, go ahead and wait for 5 seconds. Same amount of time in the backdrop right there, wait for 5 seconds. We're going to wait for 5 seconds and then we'll go ahead and show. And then I could do something similar right here. So I would just do an event, when clicked, okay, go to look, hide, wait 5 seconds, and then show. So now if we take a look at this, so it says put the instructions, those instructions will be there for 5 seconds, and then after 5 seconds it goes to there. So that's how I would do introduce the game, and then obviously you don't just want to write, you're going to want to write the instructions right there in this script. Don't just put instructions, actually write, press R, press S. Ask the human player to choose a key, R, and have the results displayed. So this can be done in the instructions. In the instructions you can say hit R for rock, P for paper, S for scissors, and then when the person hits those, obviously this is already set up to when you hit R for rock, it will display a rock for you. So that's already done. When the human player chooses a key, the computer should randomly choose a rock, paper, or scissors, and the result should be displayed. That is also happening. Now this, words should come up whether whether you won or lost the game or it's a tie. So here's how I would do that. I'm going to create a new sprite in here. I'm going to call this sprite. We can just click on this, and we're going to call it win or lose. Okay. We got win or lose right there, and then I'm going to create 3 costumes in here. So create 3 different costumes. Costume 1 is going to say win. Costume 2 will say lose. Costume 3 will say tie. Okay, so I got win, lose, tie. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and move this. I'm just going to kind of move that right there. So it'll say win, lose, tie, depending on whether you won, lost, or tied the game. So initially, we're going to want this to be hidden, right? So when clicked, let's go ahead and hide this. All right. However, we need to figure out when you have won the game, lost the game, or tied the game. So in order to, so now when I play, notice that that's just going to be hidden. So in order to do that, we're going to have to compare variables. So I'm actually going to go to data, and we already have computer pick. Okay, so computer pick is right here. So the computer picks a random number between 1, 2, and 3, or 1, 2, or 3. If it's 1, it's rock. If it's 2, it's paper. If it's 3, it's scissors. We want to also create something like that for the human. So I'm going to make a variable, and I'm going to call it human pick. Okay, so I got human pick. I don't want that to be visible. And then inside of my human, I'm going to set this to 1, set this to 2, set this to 3. Okay, so if the human picks rock, the human variable or human pick variable will be set to 1. If the human you pick paper, it's going to be set to 2. If the human picks scissors, it's going to be set to 3. So now we need to compare these variables. Okay, so so we can do an event when I receive pick. So that just says that like after like this has happened, and then it so you notice every time you push R, S, or P, you broadcast pick. So we're just going to wait until that is broadcast. Then we're going to wait for, I don't know, a couple seconds, maybe 2 seconds, because it takes a little bit of time for the computer to randomly pick. maybe 3 seconds. We'll wait 3 seconds, and then we want to start comparing those variables. So we're going to create some if statements in here, and I'm only going to create one. I'm going to create one for I'm gonna create a couple, but I'm not gonna create all of them. You're gonna have to create these. So we're gonna go if. I'm gonna go put an and in here. So let's see. If the computer pick is equal to 1 and the human pick is equal to 1, okay, then that would be a tie, right? So we would want to broadcast tie, which is the third costume. So go to look, show, and then switch to costume 3, and then maybe wait for, I don't know, 3 seconds, maybe even faster, 2 seconds, and then go ahead and hide it. Okay, so now I can duplicate this. What if the computer picks 1 and the human picks 2? So human pick 2 is paper. So you pick paper, and then the computer is picking rock. So if you pick paper and the computer picks rock, that means that you win. So we're going to go to the script on here, and that is you win, which is costume number 1. So I'd switch this to costume number 1. Let's duplicate this. Now what if the computer picks number 1 and you pick number 3? So when you pick number 3, that is scissors, and then you picked number 3, which is scissors, and then the computer picked 1, which is rock. Well, then you lose. So then we're going to go here, and then we want to go to, I think costume number 2 is lose. Okay, so we got that. So now you're going to want to do some more if statements on here, and you're going to want to do what if the computer picks number 2 and you pick number 1. And then you're going to want to go through all of the different combinations. So what would happen if the computer picks 2 and you pick number 2? You know, you're going to have to go through every single combination. And that's going to say whether you won or lost the game or tied the game. Okay, the user can pick over and over again. Okay, that's good. So now, how do we display a running tally of points? 1 point received for wins and ties. So you get 1 point if you win or tie. How do we do that? Well, we're going to create another variable. So I'm just going to go to my data, and I'm going to call this your score. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and show the score right here. Maybe I'll put the score right underneath you. Can put that right there. And basically every time you win the game, which is, I forget what costume that is, that's like costume number 1, or tie, which is costume number 3. So costume number 1 or 3, we want to just add 1 to this variable. So we can change costumes by 1 right there. So every time we either win or tie, which is costume number 3 or costume number 1, we're going to change the score by 1. So that's how to keep a running tally of points. Include image that the human player could also click on to choose rock, paper, scissors. So currently we have RSP for rock, paper, scissors. You got to hit that on the keyboard. But what we want is, we want it whether you push these or you click on a button. So we're going to just create some more costumes. I'm going to create another sprite. I'm going to make like one called R, capital R right there. Okay. Let's go ahead and put this sprite in here somewhere. Stop. Okay. Let's give it a second to save that. Sometimes it's hard. There it is. Okay, we're going to go R. We're going to click create a new sprite. S. And obviously you don't have to just use letters. I hope that you actually make this look a little bit better. And then I'm actually going to create another sprite called P. I hope that you make this look better rather than just having letters in here. R, S, P. Whoops. Let me move that and move this back up here. Okay. Okay. So now, with my human, let's look at the script here. So if that's pushed, we're going to do an OR. So if R is pushed, or let's do some sensing. And we're going to do an AND inside of this sensing. So if you push the key R, or you hit this R key, which is it's touching sprite 1 is R, right? And your mouse is down. So let's find mouse down on here. Touching, distance, key, and mouse is down. So basically, if you push the key R, or if you're touching sprite 1, which is R, you're going to choose rock. And then we would do something similar for these other ones. So if key is pushed and you're touching, let's go to, we need the OR in here. Or we are touching and your mouse is down. Sprite 2 is S. Sprite 3 is paper for P. So now when I play this, we got our instructions that pop up right there. Okay, now if I hit like R for rock, oops. So if I hit R for rock, it goes ahead and does that. If I hit S for scissors, now I should also be able to click on these sprites. Now, this is a little bit tricky right now because the way that I did these sprites is not very good. So I'm actually going to go to costumes and I'm going to make this a little bit easier here. Okay, and let's fill this in. There we go. Alright, so now if I hit like S for scissors, and now if I click on this sprite right there, notice it changes it to rock. So that's the script right there to include images that the human player could click on. We want to create a button that clears the current tallies or clears out the score. So you want to create a button that clears the score. So again, you just create a new sprite in here that clears the score. Maybe we type in like, whoops, we don't want to do that. Backwards, clear, okay. Okay, and then go to the script and then just do a script events when clicked forever if you click on this, so that would be a sensing. We'll go if you're touching that sprite, which is, what is it, sprite 4? Oh no. So we want basically just if your mouse is down, then we want to change the data. So set score back to 0. So you're going to want, this code right here is not going to work exactly, but you're going to want some type of button right there that'll clear the score. Challenge number 4, I am not going to give you I already showed you how to create an animation that looks like the computer's picking a random object. Challenge number 4, I am not going to give you any additional code. For this one, you're going to have to completely figure out on your own. I'm not going to help you with this one, but you want to make it so that you can choose to have computer play against another, so that if you can play against either the computer or you can play against another human. And just the best example I think of that can actually be seen in this. You can either do one player or two player. If you do two player, then you're not going to play against the computer, you're going to play against another person. So you want to create something that looks like this. Alright, so hopefully this video was helpful. Hopefully this gets you on the right track for this program. Let me know if you have any questions, although I will say, because this is a summative assessment, I'm not going to help